We're going to look at how we can apply the knowledge of the MBTI preferences within our personality types in order to communicate more effectively with others. First, extroversion versus introversion. So if you get re-energized and rejuvenated by your inner world of ideas and reflecting and pondering more than being with people and activities, you're really likely to be more introverted than extroverted. Introverted people think through ideas and problems before they share them, whereas extroverts are likely to talk in order to think. Extroverts really prefer to act more than they like to reflect, and sometimes they even talk out loud in order to process information. So as an introvert, when you're communicating with extroverts, you need to focus on actions that are going to need to be taken. They want to see results, and make sure that you communicate with a lot of enthusiasm. Use gestures, and also emphasize action over the thought process. If you're an extrovert and you are talking with an introvert, you need to remember that they really need well thought out ideas and plans. They love planning. Make sure that you have built-in time so that they can reflect before they have to come up with a decision. They also prefer to have information in a written format than to really have it in an oral format. And lastly, when you are speaking with an introvert, sometimes you may want to pause and count to 3 or 5, and that will give an opportunity for the introvert to think through what they need to say. It gives them a little bit of silence to ponder before they're able to speak. Intuition versus sensing. So intuitives prefer new ideas and options and predictable results. They favor innovation over practicality, and they enjoy visioning and theorizing more than implementing. In contrast, our sensors really like facts. They like obstacles. They love problems to solve. They love to explore things, and they really like tried and true solutions, though, more than new ones. And they prefer to act on something, tend to think about them. So when we look at this preference pair, sensing and intuition, there's really a lot of conflict with them, more than any other preference pair. So if you are a sensor and you're trying to communicate with an intuitive person, try starting with a description of an issue rather than looking at the details. Allow room for creation and for innovation and for exploration of an idea before you jump into the facts. Look at the overall goals. Remember that an intuition person is goal-oriented, and they want to look at strategies and explain what the desired outcomes are going to be and the related challenges or trials that you anticipate occurring. If you're an intuitive person and you want to communicate with a sensor, look at the problem. Clearly identify that problem using as many descriptions as possible, especially if you can use those 5 sensing kind of descriptions. And remember that sensors like hands-on ideas. So if you can give them an opportunity to touch or to feel something as you are describing it that is related to the problem. Share the facts and the details, and make sure that you also don't emphasize too much change or risk, because a sensor person does not like change, and describe any successes that may have occurred in the past. If you're looking at feeling versus thinking, we're going to see that feelers focus on values and people. They have very incredible ability with interpersonal skills, and harmony is the foundation for a feeler. Remember, though, that thinkers, they're very objective and analytical, and they are going to analyze relevant ideas. They tend to question ideas and solutions. They do a lot of debating, and this isn't because they don't trust others, but rather because they are working through the information. They like to focus on a task rather than look at people, and they tend to be a little too direct at times, which makes them seem critical. So if you are a thinker and you're communicating with a feeler, remember descriptions are very important. Use empathy. Always try to imagine what they may be thinking or others may be thinking. Remember that the feeler is going to worry more about what others are going to think and how any change or decision is going to impact them or anybody. Also remember that you need to start with the positives when you're talking to a feeler. They really like to focus on optimism and positives more than negatives. If you are a feeler and you're talking with a thinker, remember that they like the facts, they want the costs and the benefits. They need to know the realities of their decisions. They want the issues and the problems really identified. They need all of the ins and the outs, the strengths, the weaknesses, the solutions, and even probable roadblocks. Take a stand and really listen to their case and be willing to debate with them. Remember, debating for a thinker does not mean that they don't appreciate you or that they don't understand what you're saying. It is simply that is the greatest means they have to really understand what they are communicating. Lastly, judging and perceiving. Remember, judges like organization, and the perceivers are more flexible. So if you're a judger and you're speaking with a perceiver, remember that they need that flexibility. They need a lot of time to brainstorm, and they're going to really need more opportunities to look at the variety of options for solutions, because they're going to constantly be investigating and looking for the right option or the right solution. Now, if you are a perceiver and you're talking to a judger, remember that judges don't like any last-minute changes. They are very, very interested in being goal-oriented and plan-oriented. They take their deadlines very seriously. So once they receive a deadline, it's written in ink, permanent ink. You cannot change it. They like to analyze things, and they're not really much for brainstorming because they're very firm on what they think. And they are going to take a clear stand on their decisions.